Well, just come back to us. We have a delightful view of the Pyrenees here, these massive mountains. They start in the foothills of the Basque Country and goes right across to the Mediterranean, where at Perpignan the Pyrenees end. We come virtually right across them, zigzagging our way through the Pyrenees, and this is the third stage as it is. Beautiful part of the world here. Very rugged country, but there's no doubt about it. Today, the riders with very tired legs will be happy to see the top of the Col d'Aubisque. Vantage points, you can see people out here with cameras hoping to get a picture of their stars going through.
They just drop down here for a short while, and then it's straight back up to the Aubisque. It's quite a steep climb at the start, so I think it'll be quite difficult for them after a little descent like that. So change from such a big gear and then straight onto a small ring and small sprockets. I think the change in rhythm is going to be quite difficult.
Well, we've got to watch out then, haven't we, for Tony Rominger, because he hasn't been able to do anything on this this long drag up toward the top of the Col de Solor. We're on this little bit of interim section of the climb before we really hit the top end of the Col d'Aubisque. And Indurain doing a tremendous job here, just sitting on the pace. Looking back here, there is the polka dot jersey. He seems to have drifted a bit off the pace and has gone back, possibly to get to his teammates and bottle them some food, what have you. Fair number of the Arasteers have gone across it now. Now the red and yellow jerseys. Little pinky jersey, 1, 2, 3, 4 back from the front. From the Amar Rada Rancon, the Colombian who took the stage the other day. Rominger moving up. That's the polka dot jersey. Now about 7th back. Yeah, well, Rees has got himself, he's happier now by the looks of that one.
He seems to be back into the thick of things now. He's moved right the way back up again. He looks a lot more comfortable than he was earlier on the first climb. Yeah, well, that's the rider from the Arasteer red and yellow colours, which you can see the sort of balding head. He's running there. Well, just drifted off the left-hand side of the screen, ran about sort of 5th or 6th back from the front. He had a pretty rough ride over the first climb and was well out of contention, but he's got back, survived the purge that went on, and these three riders at the front now heading towards some fairly murky country up in front, the low cloud and up into altitude. Well done. Nice way of hanging up a bottle. That bloke knew what he was doing. Up she went, one little plastic bottle of water. There's one thing I must say, that with modern products, then plastic, which has been an absolute bore because it doesn't disintegrate. You find it all over the blasted place when people throw the stuff away, you know, when they've been picnicking and so on, or you've seen in rivers where it's sort of sticking in the river. But at least the old plastic dumps out better than the glass bottles they used to hold up some years ago. You can't have those bouncing all over the place. And before plastic feeding bottles came out, of course, we used to have those aluminium ones, and they weren't jolly any good to ride over either if somebody dropped one on the way round. But here we are then, the three riders here being slightly refreshed by the spectators along the route. Because under these conditions, then the team cars have difficulty getting up to the riders, and they're dehydrating quite a bit and are very keen to take on water as much as they can do. Claudio Chiappucci concentrated, really the driving force behind this break. Have you been in break with Claudio? I think I have been in breaks, not in the Tour de France, but
yeah.
I have been in breaks at different times. He's a rider who's always willing to give 100%.
Yeah.
He always rides for it. He never gives up.
It seems to have a sort of slightly intermittent, punchy style, which, I mean, there's some smooth pedallers, aren't there, that just...
Yeah, he just seems to be pushing at it all the time. But it's just different styles. I mean, if you compare him to Indurain, who just seems to be sitting there effortlessly. But the style can be deceiving at times.
Well, looks as if the fire has gone out now of Romiger's attack on Indurain. He's not putting anything like the pressure he did on the Col de Tourmalet, because there ought to be some serious attacking going home, but Gerard Roux is doing exactly what he should be doing. The gap then, there are 4:49, the exact gap is 4:49 back to this group of riders here on our leaders, and it seems that some of the fire has gone out to the people trying to attack Indurain on this particular section of the course, and it's going very difficult on the flat when they get down the other side for Romiger to take any at him as well. So the hammer must go down at some point.
Almost 5 minutes, it's quite a big gap to have.
Yep.
I think it's going to be very difficult for them to close it.
So presumably when Nzaga was told to get on with the work at the front, he wasn't to provide a stepping stone for Romiger then, it was to go and try and get the stage victory, keep the thing rolling as far as class team are concerned.
It is, possibly, but I think the other two guys are quite strong sprinters.
Yeah.
I wouldn't like to take my chances with them, but it doesn't look like Romiger is going to make an attack, so
No.
I don't know really. I'm not sure what their tactic was.
He's back there now, Romiger, and Gascoula just sitting behind Indurain. Well, I thought this morning Gascoula, when he was really putting the pressure on Mejia, was going to give him so much stick as he could do to try and pull back those 14 seconds or so that separate them between second and third places. He hasn't persisted with that one now on this climb, so it could be, in fact, then when they get down the other side, be all down to try and split it with some serious and fast racing in towards the finish. Gascoula is the rider just behind Indurain with that big red splodge in the bit of his back, the GBMG colours, and just ahead of that sort of purpley shady colours of Telecom.
It looks like Garospe seems to have come back there. He looks like he's in second position there.
Yeah, it's a substantial bunch now. Nothing like we had first thing this morning, is it?
No, it's quite a big group.
Well, I'm sure a lot of people watching this stage today look at the mountain and say, what beautiful scenery, and wouldn't even like to just get on their bike and ride once up these climbs, just right from the bottom to the top, and cover the distance they're covering today. Because this particular climb of the Obisque, the last little bit is 6.7 kilometres long, but when they're down the bottom of the valley at 85 kilometres, at the top it's got 115 kilometres in all, so they will have covered 30 kilometres, most of which is going uphill in some form or another. So that's a thick end of about 20 miles. And mostly uphill. So just imagine doing that on your own. So that's just one day's ride for a lot of people. But these riders here have still got to get over the top, down the other side, and then head into Pau.
Giapucci still setting the pace on the front here. He seems to be doing all the work. I haven't seen the others coming by him at all.
Well, really, I suppose this is the last time that Giapucci's got to last day in the race when he's got any chance of winning a stage.
I suppose it is really, so I think he's going to grab it with both hands.
I don't fancy his chances tomorrow into Bordeaux, because that's a sprinter's paradise. You look down the list of the roll call of people who've won into Bordeaux, it's like the who's who in sprinting. And I know Claudio can raise a gallop, but I can't see him doing much against Abdul Jafarov, for instance. The two are locked together.
Most of the time it's a pretty big group that gets into Bordeaux. It's usually quite a fast stage, and the sprinters know it's their chance, so the teams usually control the race and try to get everyone together at the finish.
And what they're going to do when they finished in Bordeaux, they're going right the way up to Bretigny-sur-Orge, and up at Bretigny-sur-Orge they'll be waiting overnight before they then start the time trial stage. So Friday will be the stage at Bordeaux, then on Saturday we have the time trial stage at Montlaret, and then on Sunday from Vivry-Châtillon to Paris. In fact, I understand the race is going past the Café Point, and may even stop where the first Tour de France was started in 1903. It started a bit outside Paris, and the spot where it all started from, the Tour will go past, and that's going to be quite an interesting ceremony. They've actually been during the Tour de France, when it started, they have been celebrating the fact that this is the 90th anniversary with homage to some of the great people in the Tour de France, to the men who founded it. They put flowers on the tombs of Henri de Grange and also to Gilles Lefebvre, who was one of the driving forces behind the idea of creating this great race. So the also putting a bouquet of flowers in remembrance of Maurice Guérin, who won the first Tour in 1903. So a commemorative year, this one, for the 90th year of the Tour de France, and the ceremony being enacted at the start. We've had lots of things to commemorate that this great race and this founding of the great race, which is now well and truly established in sporting history across the world. Everybody seems to know that if you talk about cycling, they seem to want to talk about the Tour de France. The stadium de Bordeaux, actually, the riders will go from Bordeaux on this train, and a lot of people then have got to drive an awful long way up towards the outskirts of Paris for the next stage. And I'm not quite sure how many people will be left actually to watch Chris Boardman, because Boardman on the Friday is going for the 1 hour record, an hour record which Graham Aubrey broke over the last weekend, much to everybody's surprise, at 9 o'clock in the morning or just after 9 o'clock he started on a Saturday in Norway. And so Henri de Grange, who himself broke the hour record in 1803, I think would have admired the tenacity and the unusual riding of Aubrey, the strange position, the strange bike. And interesting enough, I've read since then that Moser doesn't look upon it as having his record broken, because Moser said my record was outdoors, his record was indoors. There should be 2 different records. Well, in fact, there are at the moment 2 different records, one above altitude and one below altitude. And Aubrey actually broke the record, which was set above altitude. He did it below altitude, even he was in an enclosed arena. So there's no doubt the debates will go on for an awful long time to come, but when we have the stage tomorrow, we'll be waiting with bated breath later on to see if Chris Boardman can break the record as well, giving a lot of talking points in the Tour de France for journalists who would not normally know much about English cycling, but it certainly has been a talking point amongst the British journalists on the Tour about Aubrey's performance and Chris Boardman's. Boardman's yet to come. Aubrey's got the record. 3 men are away at the moment, and anything might happen yet. Certainly, I think the 3 men who are away at the moment are our best chance for a stage success out of those 3, because this lot the fire seems to have gone out of him. It's an absolute, you couldn't think that we're watching the same race that we're watching this morning, because the way that Rominger attacked in, I thought, whoopee, we've now got somebody putting the screw down, and it looks to me like a different race, Martin.
Yeah, you can never tell what's going to happen. I'm quite surprised. I thought that it would have been the same thing again. I thought the attacks would have come, but everyone seems quite happy to sit there in the group. But they're also very, very tired, so I can quite understand that as well. And the Banestos are setting a pace on the front that is not very easy, but everyone's quite happy just to sit there.
And there they are, trying to chase down our leaders, hovering around about the 4-minute mark, and not much impression being made upon the gap between the 3 leaders and this little lot around that 4-minute mark. Not much impression being made upon them. And the crowd here, everybody's straining to try and get a view of the giants of the road. We saw just a moment ago the 2 yellow cars come over, the Mavic neutral service vehicles that drop back behind breakaway groups. They've gone through now. Can't be long then before our leaders make their way through. And then we'll have to see what this time gap is at the moment. Well, Gerard Roux, I should think so. Hang on, are you saying no, I'm okay yet? Here we are, I can still great sign language, that, eh?
Yeah, I think Roux just wants to set his own speed. He doesn't want to go any faster. He's got his own rhythm there going, and he just wants to be left at that. And maybe Grosbe can wait till later to do anything if he's needed.
Well, here they are then, leaders on the stage at the moment. These 3 riders that went away down the valley after it came over the Tourmalet. The field regrouped at the bottom, something about 40 to 50 riders got together, and so it was that Claudio Chiappucci and Gonzaga behind him in 2nd place, and Garotto behind him in 3rd. Those 3 riders went away down the bottom of the valley. They've now been out on their own for something like 35 kilometres. Their time gap, the best check we had, was 4 minutes and 35 seconds. And this peloton here climbing steadily, slowly but surely after them, has not broken up as we thought it might do. Well, Rominger certainly will probably try to nip past to get some more prizes and more points than King of the Mountains, but he's got a hatful of points now. Claudio Chiappucci at one time looked like he might be going for the King of the Mountains, but he hasn't really consistently chased hard enough. He's got 243 points to Rominger's 393, so there's a thumping great gap between Claudio Chiappucci and Tony Rominger in the King of the Mountains, and no real chance tomorrow, I think, to change. In fact, there isn't any chance at all, because these first category and all category climbs carry with them the maximum number of points, and when we're off this one and down tomorrow, then we're on much flatter ground at the stage tomorrow, so that the King of the Mountains jersey not really at stake tomorrow, because the 1/4 category climb, the Côte de Sarette, not far after the start, heading in towards Bordeaux, and on the time trial stage they have got a 4th category climb, and that will be a time point where they take a check, and the fastest man to there will get points in the King of the Mountains. But really, on the stage that runs in from Vives-Châtillon in Paris, they've got all these sprints up and down the Champs-Élysées, but before they get there, they've got just 3, 4 4th category climbs, so that there's nothing of any consequence in future. So we can say now that the polka dot jersey on the shoulders of Rominger, that's going to be there, providing he safely gets into Paris, and there's no reason that he shouldn't do so. The world champion jersey down there, the rainbow bands of Gianni Bugno, hanging on in there at the moment, hasn't got much to show for in this year's Tour de France. And apart from the yellow jersey, the only other jersey, which is the one that people have been watching out for, is that of Abdul Japarov, the points leader. He's way down the mountain at the moment, but I think this pace will suit him today. He'll stay, I think, inside the time limit, because once they're at the top of this climb, it's a fairly fast run down in, and they'll get what they call the bus going, I suspect, the people who ride in the bunch behind this one, who know what they've got to do to stay inside the time limit, and they should do it. And Abdul Japarov, we keep our fingers crossed, will make his way in toward the finish, and that green jersey, with the retirement earlier on today of Jalabert, means that Abdul Japarov now is unbeatable, I would suggest. In fact, he is totally unbeatable in the points competition. Miguel Indurain only has 124 points in the competition in second place. Chandri the same, 124. So I think Chandri might have a go at moving up into second place. And here through the murk, the leaders will be coming into sight shortly. Says he, peering intensely at his screen. Don't try to adjust your screens, by the way. This is the low cloud that's come down. Nothing to do with the voltage dropping at home. I'm rushing out to put another few bob in the meter. This is just the conditions. Look at the crowd here, waiting attentively. They've been up here for some of them. Came up last night, or crack of dawn this morning. They're the green press vehicles over the first of all. The photographers on the back of those motorbikes. They've got their own pecking order to take pictures, and down the other side, this is the threesome dropping. "71 kilometres now, and they've got, in fact, 20 or nearly 20 kilometres downhill. Do you know this bit of the road, Martin?
I know this descent, yes. It is quite a tricky one again. But once they get it, you can come down quite quickly, and I think once they get down to the bottom, then it's pretty open roads to the finish. But it's still a long way to go. You don't know what could happen behind.
And there's a fair amount of water about the place here too, isn't there?
There is a fair bit of water. I think you really need to be careful when you're going around corners and you've got water running across the road like that.
And there, right down the valley, you can see where they're aiming for, and they'll be flattening out slowly. They're going to hit the bottom, I say 132 kilometres covered, and something like about 56 kilometres or so in towards the finish when they get to the bottom of this valley. Still quite some distance, and we haven't gone back to the top. My watch says here that it's 4 minutes and 38 seconds since these three riders went over the top of the climb. So either they've opened up a bigger gap, or alternatively we've lost the picture. There they are. So they have opened the gap a bit more, because it was 4:35 lower down the slopes, and now Gerard Rouillet on the front of this little lot for Benesto team. And the gap at the top of the climb on the screen there at 5:18. So they have in fact advanced their lead, the three escapers, and the attempt then of Rominger to crack Indurain has failed. He's not done it on this second bit of the climb today. So I think we can say that's it. The yellow jersey safely on the shoulder of Miguel Indurain, because that was the last time that Rominger might have tried to break him up, and whether the stuffing was knocked out of him from the first climb or not, I don't know. But certainly Rominger will now have enough points in the King of the Mountains competition to keep the polka dot jersey, but still at stake is a stage victory. That gap at the moment over the top at 5:18 certainly seems to be enough then for these three to have a chance, not totally a possibility they're going to do it, but a chance of staying away. Depends how keen the rest of the riders are to rocket after them. Grotto, Chiappucci and Unzaga leading at the moment at the top of that climb by 5 minutes and 18 seconds. And on their way down, we're going to take a short break, come back to us to see who wins the stage. Well, this is the route so far. 178 kilometres have been covered of the 189 in all. This is at Rontignan with 11.5 kilometres left to go, and the riders then still hanging on for grim death into the finish in Pau. A relative flat run all the way in towards the finish, and that's got about 7 miles of racing left as far as they're concerned. Something like about 14-15 minutes, because they're travelling at around about 30 miles an hour. They haven't missed a beat mile after mile. 100 kilometres they've been in the lead. They've climbed over the Col d'Aubisque, these three riders, and the pursuers behind have realised they probably let them go just a bit too far, and here they are. Well, you've had 5 Pyrenees that chasing breaks down like that, Martin. What's it like?
It's not easy, It's not easy, but they've just got to keep going, and they've just got to keep doing. There's another rider from TVM coming up there, so maybe he's thinking of Skibby.
That was.
I think the more they've got up there, the easier it is. So there's quite a few riders riding now.
Even Miller.
So.
Yeah. I'm surprised about Miller, because the TVM, when their top rider Capio is out of it now, Bo Hamburger's in there. Well, mind you, Bo Hamburger last year won us. So 2 minutes 50 seconds is the gap now that we've got, so it is coming down all the time.
It's coming down, but not quick enough. With only 10 kilometres to go, 2 minutes and 50 seconds is...
It could be enough, couldn't it?
It could be.
Yeah.
But there are quite a few riders riding there now, so...
Yeah. Because Bo Hamburg, it was last year, wasn't it, in the tour, when there was a group of about 11 riders went away. My friend Alan Piper was in it as well, and swinging in, I think it was into Bordeaux, if I remember served me correctly, and Hamburger clopped off and left them all. So he's another fellow who has to do about a kilometre on his own to get the stage. So there's Skibby and Hamburger, both them from TVM, both capable of doing long rides off the front. You've got Ekimov, yeah, same sort of long riding tactics, haven't we? Yep. So if they catch them all, hell can let loose. And that's why Museo is probably sitting at the back with Chandri at the moment saying, come on boys, keep your whip out.
He's just waiting and hoping that they come together.
Yeah.
But with 10 kilometres to go, it's not easy. It's not going to be easy for him to catch him. Because the three riders here, they're still very committed to trying to keep this breakaway and ride very hard together. They're not giving up.
Well, being caught after being away for 100 kilometres, but it's uphill and downhill on the flat is a terrible disappointment when you're closing up on the finish, but that's the threat that is hanging over the top of these riders. Malad Guillotine about to chop off the heads and push them back into the bunch if that 2 minute or so gap is brought back now any further. And still Claudio Chiappucci riding hard. Every one of these three, they don't seem to have missed a beat. Miller then rolling on the front. A lot of riders, and they're rolling much quicker, aren't they? Just shorter turns.
They seem to be riding quicker now.
Yeah, shorter turns.
It'll be interesting to see now how quick the gap is coming down.
Much shorter turns. Well, to have TVM with that multicoloured bike there, the red, yellow, black, I don't know, so it's painter's nightmare. And certainly then with Motorola aiding and abetting this little one. Frankie Andrew going through. Van Miller, just a few turns. He doesn't give much shelter to anybody, does he?
No, he's
I suppose it's just psychological when he goes to the front. Oh, there we are. That's the 10k banner. I put my watch on that one just to check against the official time checks we've got coming in. And it's now 2 minutes 45, 2:46. So they go underneath it now. 2:48. 2 minutes 48 with 10 kilometres to go. Come on, Martin, you're the expert.
I don't think they catch him.
Right.
Well, I'll probably regret saying that now, but
and it's no good me betting you a pint of Guinness on that because we're a long way from the Guinness shop at the moment. Well, there we go. Encouragement then again to Claudio Capucci. The time check coming up to him to tell him what they've got. 2:48, 10 kilometres to go. This is a very, very fast stage indeed now. The original time at 32 kilometres per hour for the stage today would have had them in at 5 o'clock. They're going to get in somewhere around just after 4 o'clock, so they're 1 hour on the 32 kilometre per hour average speed. That's 20 miles an hour, so they're 1 hour inside averaging 20 miles an hour. That's tremendous, isn't it?
it's very fast for such a hilly stage. It's very fast.
Yeah.
But the race has been on since the start today. They've been really going at it. It hasn't been that. There hasn't been much time when they've been going slow. So
Well, another check's just come in that the gap is now 2:45, so just the 3 seconds have been chipped off it there, but that's about all they're doing. It's just a few seconds here, a few seconds there. And of course, these three riders just hoping that their strength holds on, because there's always that chance that one of them might suddenly find himself having that moment when the bonk hits you. It even hits professionals, doesn't it?
it does, yeah.
Everything goes from your legs, boy. You just drain. It's amazing. I don't think any other sport has it, where you're just suddenly roaring along 1 minute, and next minute you're just a slobbering mess on your bike, and grovelling to stay upright. Let alone pedal the thing.
Just over 6 kilometres now. They're still riding very strong.
When did you realise you'd got a chance? You know, when that little group you're with, that you're actually going to do it.
When did I realise I was going to win?
Well, no, when actually the group was going to stay away. Were you quite happy?
We were never really sure, because the bunch was so close behind.
Right.
It was only when I got 50 metres from the line that I realised
You were going to win.
Yeah.
Well, that is yet to come for these riders. The desperation, they still might be caught. The wonderment of who out of these three will get the stage if they stay away. And they've been racing now since 11 o'clock this morning on this 189 kilometre stage, the last day in the mountains. We saw high drama in the high Pyrenees up the Col de Tourmalet when Rominger attacked into rain. We thought it was going to happen again on the Col d'Abyss, but Rominger must have found no more strength and felt that perhaps he'd got a better call it today, because we didn't get that. We're coming up now towards the 5 kilometre banner. The last time at the 10 kilometre banner it was 2 minutes 48 seconds. So that'll give us a good check on how much time they've lost in the last 5Ks, and we can project that forward towards the finish as well. Still Carotto on the front, then Gonzaga, then Claudio Capucci. Right on the outskirts then of Pau. Delightful town, very historic town indeed. And they swing right, there we are, 5 kilometres to go for these riders. Gonzaga at the back won the Grand Prix d'Almobaricia early on this year, had a stage victory in the Tour of Spain last year. Looking now for a stage victory in the Tour de France. Claudio Capucci familiar figure when it comes to climbing up on the victory rostrum. Already this year he won a stage in the Tour of Italy when he finished 3rd overall. He's won 2 stages in the Tour de France. He's finished 2nd, 3rd and 2nd overall in the Tour de France as Claudio Chiappucci since he burst upon the scene really in 1990 and took the yellow jersey for a few days. He's won a stage in the Pyrenees as well in his time way back in 1990 when he finished 7th overall. Last year he won a stage in the Classico in Colombia. So is he going to get a stage victory today? Liège-Bastogne-Liège he was 6th, Flèche-Wallonne was 3rd, Tour Romandie was 2nd this year. Those were his year's performances. Seconds all over the place. The Canton race he was 2nd, the Tour de Friuli was 2nd, the Giro del Trentino he was 2nd, the eternal 2nd some might say as far as Claudio Chiappucci is concerned. He has had successes and now he's going to put his name back up on the list of a Tour de France stage victor. He won one last year, he won one the year before. The year before they didn't win a stage but he finished 2nd overall. Claudio Chiappucci then in the career colours in blue and white just in the middle of this 3-man breakaway. Just behind him then, Carato pouring the water onto his heads. Best known to British spectators as victor in the Leeds Classic last year when it was sponsored by Wincanton. That was a great victory last year. Now here he is then trying to get a stage victory again in the Tour de France. He last had one way back in 1990 when he finished in 95th place. He had a stage victory in 1988 when he finished 85th. He rode in 87 as well, did Carato, but he finished no better than 109th. This year he's already ridden in the Tour of Italy, that man in yellow. He rode the Tour of Italy, which finished 2 weeks before the Tour de France, and he won a stage in that one. And he's searching now for a stage victory in the Tour de France. That's the size of that man, that big fella you see in the centre there in yellow. Cracking performances over a long period of time. Very consistent rider indeed then. Massimo Carato from the ZG team. And the only other rider with them in that little group at the moment is John Unzaga from the Class team. This beautiful city of Pau then, will Unzaga get the stage victory today? Victor in the Tour of Spain, he took a stage in 1992 when he finished 23rd overall. Not finished in the Tour de France since 1988 when he finished in 53rd spot. So there we are then, that man Unzaga, Chiappucci, Carato. When they go into the finish, are they going to wait to sprint it out down that finishing straight? Who's going to add his name on the victory list in Pau? The 3 of them together now. They've ridden so well for the last 100 kilometres. And now Claudio Chiappucci searching for something to take home at the Tour de France. He's not going to have a rostrum finish in the top 3 places. At the moment he was 7th overall. The gap has been coming down in that chasing group. The last time check we had, it was 2 minutes and 45 seconds. But now for these 3 leading riders, it looks like they've cracked it. They've got back now with just 3 kilometres to go. They should get there to the finish in time, unless they start stalling and watching each other like sometimes happens when the big bunch come thundering up and the 3 at the front decide to play cat and mouse tactics and they get swallowed up with the heaving bunch. But I think the gap is sufficient now to say of these 3, one's going to get the stage. I'm going to put Martin in a very difficult position. He's not a betting man, but Martin, do you want to make a prediction or not?
Of these 3, it's going to be very, very difficult to say who's going to win. I think they could finish 10 times together, and I don't think it'd be the same winning finish each time. John Unzaga, he's not particularly known to be a fast finisher, but he's quite strong today, and it's also very hard to say at the end of a race like the Tour de France because everybody is so tired that it's the freshest man there. Girotto, I think he's probably got the best chance.
Right. Well, as you say, when you went round, you didn't know you got it to 50 metres to go. Nobody really knows the strength of the opposition. You've ridden with them all day, and unless somebody's absolutely grovelling, and even then he might be cheating, because we've seen riders before who sagged off a bit, pretended they're not with it, dropped a few lengths back, grovelled up again, had the look on their face like they're dying, and next thing you know, bam, the bloke's gone down the road because he hasn't been showing his true sense and feeling. But I think all these 3, they've not missed a beat. They've all done their job throughout the time we've been on air watching them driving away like this, and so there's no doubt about it that the sprint is going to come from these 3 riders. The big bunch behind will have to jockey itself for the following places. But now then,
I think we'll have a very interesting finish. It could really be anybody's finish. Chiappucci is also quite a strong rider. He's not particularly fast, but he's very strong.
And they're not letting up at all, are they? They can't, can they?
Nobody is taking it easy. They're all giving it 100%.
Yeah. So every out of these 3 gets it. I suppose the others will be bitterly disappointed, but they've worked so hard together.
If anybody gets it, they deserve it.
Yes.
They deserve it.
So what a difference in style and types of riders we've got here. Difference in performances over the years. Claudio Chiappucci been up on the rostrum at the end of the tour. These two haven't. But they're well-known entrepreneurs when it comes to taking stage victories. This large man here, Carotto, that Wincanton race when he won that one last year, Jalabert absolutely blew up on the final circuit. I happened to be going round at the time with the commentary car, and suddenly Jalabert just faded, all the strength of his legs, and Carotto just rode away from him, showing superb strength that he's shown all day riding round the big mountains of Yorkshire, across home moss and what have you. And here then Claudio Chiappucci, another very strong man who has got enormous great depth, but when it comes to sprinting, I should think these three are probably not much dissimilar. For my money, Carotto probably should have the edge of it. They've got 1 kilometre to go, and we'll be able to find out which of these three is the faster and the better in just about a minute from now. So on the front, it's Claudio Chiappucci leading out. Just behind then is Carotto, and Gonzaga stopping back in third spot. Chiappucci says, come on, your turn to go through, but Carotto won't do it. I think that Chiappucci's been winding up too far at the front now. In fact, Carotto has gone through. That surprised me a bit. I thought he would have been the craftier of the riders here. Chiappucci puts himself in the best place. In through the bends now. Chiappucci in the best place to surprise the other riders. And Carotto realises that he's got to ease back a bit. He can be jumped sensibly enough, so he's keeping very close to the barriers on the left-hand side. Gonzaga now is in the worst possible place. He's got into the lead. And look, Carotto again moving to the right. Chiappucci has got the best position now. He's the best to jump. And look what Gonzaga's going to do. He hopes that they take. If Carotto turns his head round, you watch Gonzaga go, and he's going. He's going now. Gonzaga had to go. He tried to open a bit of a gap, and he's rolling down the finishing straight now. And he's really rocketing for the line, and Carotto can't get up to him. Chiappucci looks like he's cooked. Gonzaga changed gear a bit too late, and Carotto rolls off his wheel on the far side. Chiappucci kicking back to come at him, and Chiappucci digging deep, but down the line it goes to Chiappucci by about 2 or 3 inches. That was absolutely phenomenal. Well, I wait the photo finish on that one. It was so close, my goodness. And this looks to me like Bjorn Ries has taken himself off the front to try and hold on to his 5th place. A sterling performance by Arias Tiers kept him in contention, and he's exploded out of that main field, Ries. He knows that Chiappucci could move ahead of him on general classification, so he's taken it now upon himself to stay within those 3.5 minutes, which will ensure that he doesn't lose his place to Claudio Chiappucci. Well, Chiappucci rode himself into the ground today. This man did too, because he was off the back on the climb of the Tourmalet. He came over minutes down on the leaders. He fought his way back when they descended off the Tourmalet, grovelled his way up the Aubisque, fought his way back down the other side. This big man who's having his most superb Tour de France is desperately trying to hang on to his 5th place overall. His team has done a wonderful job to keep him in contention, and now Bjorn Ries then, they really thinks that he's probably got to dig a bit more deeper. It's going to be flat day tomorrow, and then into time trial. He may well be able to hold on to that, but he's fighting, and here comes the field in behind him. So then Ries is going to finish quite comfortably, I think, in here, but it's 1 minute and 15 seconds. He's preserved his 5th place then as the rest of the field come in. A great day for the RSC team to ride so strongly. Skibby punching his way across the line there, but as far as they're concerned, they're fighting for the lower place. The yellow jersey is here, home and dry. Looking back down there for the polka dot jersey of Tony Rominger. Didn't see it, but I'm sure he's in there. And in one of those cars is Prost, the racing car driver who travelled the distance 2 days ago, somewhat slower than the time which it took these riders today, but to get there at 4 o'clock, something round about, 5 hours of racing. This is absolutely tremendous stuff. But let's see if Claudio Chiappucci did get this one. And Zaga, I think, changed gear a bit too late. And then it looked like Carotto had got it. Let's watch where it happens. We'll get a shot from the side as well of our photo finish camera in just a moment when they sorted it out. But right now, it was down between 2 men, and Zaga blew it. But did Chiappucci get it, or was he just boasting? Well, here we go, another replay.
It looks like Girotto sat up a little bit just before the line.
I think he thought he got it,
Yeah, I think so.
Yep.
Yeah, he just seems to sit up.
Here we go.
With a few meters to go. It looks like he's got the lead now, and then he just...
He's got a full wheel, hasn't he, ahead now, eh?
Watch.
Well, We'll still have to see the side picture as to whether Chiappucci got it. That was close.